The governor of Ondo State, Rotimi Akeredolu, is dead. Mr. Akeredolu died at about 2 a.m. on Wednesday at a German hospital where he was receiving treatment, a senior government official in Ondo State told reporters. He died of leukemia and prostate cancer, two ailments that have made him incapacitated for several months. After a formal announcement of the governor's death, the deputy governor, Lucky Aiyedatiwa, will be sworn in as substantive governor by the state's chief judge. Mr. Akeredolu went on his first medical leave to treat what was then an undisclosed ailment in June and returned in September. When he returned, the governor's health was still being managed in Ibadan, the capital of Oyo State, where he intended to continue governing Ondo State, a situation that drew public outrage. The governor did not transfer power to his deputy at the time. His critics accused him of holding on to power even when he was clearly incapacitated. In December, he commenced another medical leave that was said to be a follow-up to his initial medical treatment. This time, he wrote the State Assembly, formally transferring power to the deputy governor in acting capacity. Mr. Akeredolu's long absence created political maneuvering that pitched Mr. Aiyedatiwa against his principal, Mr. Akeredolu. The situation snowballed into the State Assembly attempting to launch an impeachment process against the deputy governor, leading to a legal battle between both parties. The chaos recently subsided when President Bola Tinubu stepped in and asked that the status quo be maintained with certain conditions. Some of the conditions include that Mr. Aiyedatiwa would not be declared acting governor in an apparent move to save Mr. Akeredolu's seat. The deputy governor was also directed to submit an undated letter of resignation to President Tinubu to guarantee that he would not disrupt the political configuration in the state while he runs the government until the full recovery of his principal, Mr. Akeredolu. Mr. Akeredolu's death on Wednesday paves way for Mr. Aiyedatiwa to be sworn in as the substantive governor of the state. The leader of Inri Evangelical Spiritual Church, Primate Elijah Ayodele, has predicted the assassination of a sitting president and the death of a governor. Primate Ayodele also predicted that Cabals would attempt to take over President Bola Tinubu's administration. He disclosed that people around Tinubu will deceive him by things he wants to hear. In a statement by his media aide, Oluwatosin Osho, Ayodele said, "Tinubu's government, I foresee the Cabals will want to take over the Tinubu government. As a matter of fact, Tinubu will be deceived as people will be telling him what he wants to hear. Nigeria will not be the same Nigeria during the Tinubu government. His efforts will not show as much as expected. There will be serious cases of corruption under his government, and nepotism, favoritism, and tribalism will be the order of the day in his government. The government needs to do a lot that will change and make the government to move forward. People will prevent the president from seeing the truth. This government will not listen to constructive criticism and will not like the face of critics. On kidnap, I foresee that a commissioner and an aide in a governor's convoy will be kidnapped. The Spirit of God says kidnapping will take another dimension. Let us pray for all governors in Nigeria that none of them will be bedridden." He spoke about the world. "The voice of the Lord whispered to me that in 2024, we must pray against the assassination of a sitting president, a former president, a prime minister, and a former prime minister whose assassination will be successful. Let us pray against coup in Africa or mounting pressure or an uprising that can lead to the removal of a sitting president." The Spirit of God says there will be a lot of financial crisis globally. I foresee a sitting president will escape assassination. Let us pray there will be no uprising against any president and that no presidential villa shall be burnt in the world. Now on Professor Wole Soyinka, who says, "Tinubu ignored my advice not to run for presidency." Nigerian foremost dramatist Professor Wole Soyinka has said that President Bola Tinubu ignored his advice not to run for the presidency. Soyinka, who paid a courtesy visit to Tinubu at his Lagos home, said he was there to see how the president and his wife were ignoring his advice. The literary icon said he has submitted a 7-point agenda to the president during the visit he described as an embarrassing one. "I came here with a 7-point agenda and we had a very thorough discussion on those items, Soyinka told reporters after the visit. Actually, it's an embarrassing visit because when I visited him the last time, it was to try and persuade him not to run for office. I told Atiku and himself to please leave the ground so young people could run. That's the last time we met about 5 years ago. So I came to see how he was doing after ignoring my advice. I came to see how both he and his wife were weathering Nigeria and to wish them a happy Christmas, he said. In another news, Governor of Plateau State Caleb Mutfwang has disclosed that terrorist activities have displaced no fewer than 64 communities in the state, with the attackers occupying both residential areas and schools. Governor Mutfwang, speaking about the recent attacks in the state, expressed the heavy burden placed on the state due to the continuous displacement of citizens by terrorist activities. In an interview with reporters on Tuesday, Governor Mutfwang revealed that during the Christmas period, at least 17 communities were attacked, and the displacement of residents has created a significant challenge in providing shelter for the affected people. He emphasized the need for immediate action, stating that prolonged displacement could lead to terrorists taking over the deserted communities. The governor highlighted the occupation of schools in Riyom local government and Bariking Ladi local government, with some schools being seized by terrorists for several years. He condemned the perceived inaction under the previous administration, expressing the sentiment among residents that terrorists received official government backing. Under the last regime, the feeling among people in Plateau State, particularly the victims of these terrorist attacks, is that it looks as if the terrorists were given official government backing to be able to terrorize them, because little or nothing was done to repel these attacks, Governor Mutfwang stated. He emphasized that the occupation of schools did not happen overnight, with some schools being seized for as long as 3, 4, or 5 years. The prolonged occupation has disrupted education and healthcare services in the affected areas, posing a significant threat to the well-being of the residents. Governor Mutfwang called for urgent intervention, urging the president to address the escalating security challenges in Plateau State. Also, Governor Mutfwang was part of the governors that left his state to visit President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in Lagos to felicitate with him at the Christmas holiday, leaving behind his state and the victims of the recent killings by Fulani herdsmen. According to some persons, it is said that it is not a good one from the governor and it doesn't show responsibility, leaving the state to go and felicitate with the president in Lagos State.